Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, yesterday you started learning about adding and subtracting decimals, and when you did it, you were probably like, what? This is just like adding and subtracting whole numbers, which, for the most part, it is. For the most part, it is. There are just a couple of things we have to look into to make sure that we don't mess up and do something wrong, like especially that last one up there. I especially had that question yesterday asked of me. So the first problem we have is 3 and 704 thousandths subtract 1 and 325 thousandths. Now you may see it asked as what's the difference of, and difference means subtraction. Okay, so there's other ways to see it. Let me ask this question though. This 2, what is the value of that 2? Who can tell me? Okay, that's the place it's in. So what's the value of it? How many hundredths? 2 hundredths. So the value of that 2 would be 2 hundredths. And you could write it in words or 0.2. It'd be all good. In case you had a question like that later today. All right, so now, also I don't say borrow. We don't borrow from something because we're not giving it back. We're going to regroup it because that's how we're going to say it in the 5th grade. So we have 4 thousandths. Subtract 5 thousandths. Can we do that? No, we cannot do that. Because if I only have 4 thousandths, you cannot come up here and rush up here and take 5 of them out of my pocket. You can't. It's not possible. So we need to regroup. We need to take some hundredths and put them over the thousandths. We don't have that, do we? So now we got to go all the way over to the tenths. All the way over to the tenths. So in the tenths place, we're going to take 10 of those tenths. 10 of those tenths, because there are 10 hundredths, 10 tenths in 100. So then we're going to make this 10. All right, still that doesn't help me with my thousandths, does it? So I take 1/10. And how many thousandths are in a tenth? Anyone? How many thousandths in a tenth? Remember when we had this problem? Here's my tenth. And we had it divided into little pieces? 10. Good. There are 10 thousandths in a tenth. So if I take one of those hundredths away, 10 thousandths in a hundredth, I think I'm getting my words mixed up. I take one of those hundredths away, and I change it into thousandths, and we just know there are 10 thousandths in 100. So now I can borrow. Because 704 thousandths is the same as 6 tenths, 9 hundredths, and 14 thousandths. Same value. It's like changing in $1 for 10 pennies. Now I can do 14 subtract 5, and I get what? 9. And now I have the difference between 9 and 2, which is 7. Now I have the difference between 6 and 3, and I get 3. My decimal point comes straight down. That means we have to have them lined up when we subtract. It comes straight down. It means we have to have them lined up when we subtract. 3 subtract 1 is 2. So how do we say this number, Zoe? Good. 2 and 379 thousandths. 2 and 379 thousandths. So it's just like when we are subtracting whole numbers. It's just like that. Let's look at our second problem we have up here. Oh, it's addition. It's even easier. Remember, we always line up the place values. 1s over 1s, 10s over 10s, hundredths over hundredths, always. So we have 14 and 467 thousandths. Subtract 12 and 33 thousandths, or hundredths. 12 and 33 hundredths. Now, for those of you that paid attention yesterday, we need a placeholder in here because we need them all to go out to the hundredths. If they went to the hundredths, we need this one to all go out to the thousandths. Yes, sir.
It's actually add.
Oh, add. Okay, and we still need a placeholder, right? Okay, that keeps our place values lined up.
You have a 0.
I put a 0 here. Okay, then it's just strictly adding like you know how to do. We have 7 thousandths plus 0 thousandths, which means we have 7 thousandths. We have 6 thousandths plus 3 thousandths, which means we have 9 thousandths. We have 4 tenths plus 3 tenths is 7 tenths. Laurie? Okay, well then slide over. 4 ones plus 2 ones is 6 ones. And 1 plus 1 is 2. Is that number greater than or less than 25? Greater than. Greater than or less than 26? Greater than. Because it's 26 and this much. 26 and that much. So again, easy peasy raw chicken squeezy. And the last one. Now remember, we have to line the place values up. We have to. So we have 0 and 2 tenths. My decimal points line up. The ones place here is a 0. The tenths place here is a 0. The hundredths place here is a 0. The thousandths place here is an 8. Now the top only goes out to the tenths place. And this is a subtraction problem. The top only goes out to the tenths place, which means we need to put our place values, our placeholders in, and then a subtraction. Now this is where I see mistakes as I was walking around, and I've seen mistakes in my 73 years of teaching.
You're not even.
Now let's be honest. How many of you brought an 8 down in the thousandths place? Okay, be honest. Many of you did. Many of you did. But if I have 0 of something, can you take 8 somethings from it? No. If I have 0, I can't take 8 somethings from it. So your thousandths place in the difference cannot be an 8. Now we can take this 20, make that 19, and then 10 thousandths. Okay? Now, so what should my thousandths be in my difference?
A 2.
A 2. Because I have 10 thousandths, and I'm subtracting 8 thousandths. Now, 9 hundredths subtract 0 hundredths is 9 hundredths. 1 hundredth subtract 0 hundredths, or 1 tenth subtract 0 tenths is 1. Now let's say, gosh, man, that looks really strange to me. How would I check to see if my answer is correct? Addition. What's that called? The inverse operation. Very good. Inverse operation. I can add that, and if I did my math correctly, I should get 0 and 2 tenths, or 0 and 200 thousandths. So if I did that correctly, now I'm not going to do it because I'm lazy right now. So that just ain't going to happen. But that's how you check your work. Which means, when we're adding and subtracting, whether it's decimals or not, you should always get 100 because it's easy to check your work. That's why I give fewer problems. Now, if you don't want to check your work, then I'm going to start giving you about 50 problems. Because that's just wasting time. So if you have that much time to waste, I'm just going to give you more to do, which I don't want to give you more to do. The key is to remember to add the placeholders Remember to line the ones over the ones, the decimal points, the tenths over the tenths, the hundredths over the hundredths, the thousandths over the thousandths. And there were only like 3 of you that raised your hands that you moved the 8 down here, but there's a whole bunch of people who are, I don't want to call you liars, that'd be rude, not telling the truth. Because many of you did as I walked around, I saw. But that's okay. It's okay. You didn't pay quite close enough attention yesterday, but that's all right. Because this problem was given to you yesterday somewhere along the videos or the questions that you were asked. Boom! Shakalaka. Peace out. God bless. Love you. Do something kind today. Save the bees.